Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Robert, and today I am back with Tyler Bucket. He's a typical average American wanting to learn more about Canada, and I, being a typical average Canadian, are here to help him answer some of the questions. And before we get into this, feel free to subscribe to my channel and to his. It doesn't cost you anything. It's 100% free. Hit the post notification bell. When we drop new content, you'll know about it. Give the video a thumbs up and feel free to leave a comment. And I will leave a link to his channel in my description box below. Let's get into this.
What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react to the top 10 things Canadians want me to know. Apparently, Canadians want me to know this, so I'm here. I'm here to answer the call. This video really kind of stuck out to me because I imagine it's probably referring to misunderstandings that Americans and other people have when they think of Canada. And if not, I'm very interested to see from a Canadian's point of view what Canadians think the rest of the world needs to get straight, that we all think about Canada that is wrong. And honestly, I'd be fascinated to see what people think about America and some of the funny stuff. But anyway, this is Canada's time to shine. I should stop being so selfish. I'm here to indulge what the Canadians want me to know. So let's go.
For this list, we're looking to clarify Canadian stereotypes, correct misconceptions, or generally gush about things that we think you should know about this North American country.
Okay.
I'm Canadian.
Number 10,
Mojo.
It's not winter all the time.
Yeah. You know, this is real. This is real. Americans do picture Canada as permanently winter. Is this not true?
No, it's not true. I recall years ago when I was in high school, and it was May. Pretty sure it was May, and we had some exchange students come up from California, and they brought their winter gear, parkas, snow boots, everything. And it was quite funny because when they got here, it was warm, very warm. It was spring in Vancouver. So they probably could use the parkas when it was raining, but it was nice out.
It's not true.
When many people think of Canada, they picture blizzards and polar bears.
Yeah.
Don't forget the stereotype that all Canadians live in igloos.
Okay, I actually don't. I didn't ever think that that Canadians live in igloos. Yeah.
My good friend Nantuck and I
Jim
built
Carrey.
an igloo to protect ourselves.
Is this Jim Carrey doing a Canadian impression? I've never heard a Canadian accent that thick in my life.
Well, it's not a Canadian accent. It's supposed to be an Inuit accent, and nowadays it would be quite racist because he's not Inuit. So, yeah.
From polar bears and flying hockey pucks.
Yes, gotta watch out for the hockey pucks.
Hockey is probably going to be on this list. Although, don't Canadians genuinely love hockey? That's not even a stereotype. I think Canadians are big hockey fans.
It's true that Canadian winters can be intense and long. Canada does warm up during the summer months. Igloos would be pretty useless.
There are many ways to describe the summer of 2012. Hot, dry, extreme. But if you're feeling the burn, consider it a unifying Canadian experience.
Like in many...
I mean, yeah, America has winter. and there's snow in lots of places, and we have summer where it's not snow. Is this the same in Canada? Is Canada just like the same seasonality? For some reason I thought because it was north and things get colder, that it would explain why Canada could be most of the time covered in snow, maybe all the time. I'm wrong though, I'm sorry.
Any other countries, Canadian seasons are varied and unique.
Okay.
Visit in the summer or fall, and you'll be surprised at just how warm it can get, especially in the southern part of the country. Though one thing is certainly true. Visiting Montreal in the winter can get a little slippery.
I remember watching that on the news. All season tires and going downhill.
Number 9. Toronto is not the capital of the country.
Nope, that is correct. It's the capital of the universe. And I'll leave it like that.
Right. Oh my gosh, I already forget what the I feel like I just learned this. I already forget what the capital of Canada is. Because when Americans think of Canada, the first city that comes to mind is Toronto and maybe Quebec. But Toronto for sure, actually. The more I think about it, if I took a poll of Americans, what's the only city in Canada? They'd be like, oh, Toronto. There's only one city in Canada, that's Toronto.
Yeah. It's pretty sad, isn't it?
Must be the capital. So I think this actually is something that a lot of Americans do believe.
While there is a joke that they like to consider themselves the center of the universe, contrary to popular belief, Toronto is not the capital of Canada.
So,
okay.
You guys doing anything fun while you're in town?
Fun? In Toronto?
It is, however...
What? I bet there is a lot of fun in Toronto. I've seen stuff in Toronto, in other videos. Toronto is fun, hey!
The largest city in Canada by population, and the 4th largest in North America, just above Chicago.
Oh, Toronto's the 4th biggest in North America?
Yes.
I didn't know that. It's huge then.
The title of Canadian capital goes to the much smaller and quieter Ottawa.
How did we... Ottawa, yes. Oh, Ottawa, get in my brain, Ottawa. Get in there. I just learned that. I don't know why I don't think of Ottawa, because it's fun to say, Ottawa. I'm aware of Ottawa. Most Americans are. We just don't really know what goes on there, or that it's the capital. Sorry.
End up with Ottawa. So it is the capital of Canada.
A lovely city dedicated mainly to being the center of government. Much like Washington, D.C.,
Ottawa
often gets mocked for being boring.
Suburban Ottawa is great.
What?
It has everything Brooklyn does. Really? Yes! Other than my...
This narrator's being kind of like she's trying to roast Canada. She's like, Toronto, known for being super boring. Like, no one thinks that. No one actually thinks that. Who are these people? Ottawa, known for being super boring. Again, no one thinks that. No one thinks it's like the most incredible place ever, only because they don't know what's there. But they certainly don't think it's boring. So, I don't know, this narrator is really trying to roast Ottawa.
My job and my friends and my family, you, interesting people, museums, restaurants.
While not as exciting as Toronto, perhaps, Ottawa's charms are still not to be missed.
Ottawa, the Paris of Central Canada.
Oh, that's too funny. The Paris of Central Canada. Okay.
Number 8. A Canadian invented basketball.
Really? Wow. Is this true?
Yeah.
Wait. Huh? Huh?
Oh, I like I was going to Google this.
Basketball. Invented. Google, please confirm this. James Naismith.
Yes.
Where were you? Canadian American. Yeah, I mean, basketball is huge in America. I bet most Americans would tell you basketball was invented in America. For sure they would.
In a way.
It's probably our second biggest sport behind football. Not soccer, football, to be clear. Wow.
Believe it or not, it was the Canadian James Naismith, a McGill University graduate, who invented this popular sport back in 1891.
Wow.
Naismith was a phys ed teacher at the YMCA International Training School in Springfield, Massachusetts. He struggled with a class of students who were disobedient and short-tempered due to being stuck inside all day thanks to a harsh winter. He resolved to create an indoor game to keep the students distracted.
And if you think about basketball is really an interesting sport. This guy had some creativity. Because there's like the whole dribbling thing with your hand. I mean, I know that sounds obvious because basketball exists, but just think about basketball before it existed. Would you ever think, oh, well, I'll invent a little game where you dribble it with your hand and you throw it up in these hoops, they have backboards. It's honestly a pretty inventive game.
And that would help them stay in shape. The end result was basketball.
100 years after James Naismith from Almont, Ontario invented it, basketball was being played by hundreds of millions of people around the world.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Cool.
Canadian bacon is just ham.
Yeah. It's just ham.
Canadian bacon. Yeah. Canadian bacon. That is such an American thing. I never understood it because I don't eat bacon that often. Canadian bacon, it's just ham, right?
Yep.
And I had no idea why it was called Canadian bacon. Randomly throughout my life, very randomly, people would just be like, oh yeah, we have some Canadian bacon. And I'd be like, Canadian bacon? What is that?
Bacon. Canadian bacon.
Yep, that's right. The term Canadian bacon is actually one made up by Americans. In Canada, it's known as back bacon, which is a far more accurate term.
Back bacon.
But really, it's just ham.
Yeah.
Just look at it. Does that really look like bacon? No.
Huh, yeah, it is just ham. That I was kind of aware of. I don't really eat Canadian bacon. Sorry, back bacon. I'm learning. Back bacon. But yeah, it's just ham. Let's just call it ham.
Yeah.
Although it is kind of fun. It's the only thing in America that I can think of that has that we named and it has the word Canada in it. So you know what? For the sake of Canada, let's keep it. I like it.
And Canada agrees.
If ham's Canadian bacon, then what the hell do you call bacon?
Canadians take their bacon seriously. And as such, the fact that Canada has come to be associated with this term borders on being offensive to the Canadian culinary world.
What?
In all seriousness.
Yeah. What? What? Is that true? Why? Come on.
Because it's ham. That's why. You want bacon? You have bacon. Don't give me ham and call it bacon. Really.
I think it's fun. I always thought the name was fun, at least. It made it sound exotic. I was like, oh, Canadian bacon. It's from Canada? Ooh, what is that? Oh, interesting.
Real Canadian bacon is excellent if you live south of the border. So if you want a real taste of Canadian bacon, you'll just have to make the trip.
Oh, Canadian bacon as in bacon from Canada, which for us would just be bacon. So you could really get lost in this whole bacon verse if you weren't careful.
And then cover it in maple syrup.
We highly recommend the maple glazed variety.
No, you gave me Canadian bacon instead of bacon? This misdeed cannot go unpunished.
Number 6. Tim Hortons isn't our only national coffee chain.
Okay, I was wondering about this because I saw another video about cool stuff in Canada that I reacted to. And this Tim Hortons.
Go unpunished.
Number 6.
Tim Hortons. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I got it right. It seems like a really cool place, but it also sounded like, gosh, it was the only coffee, fast food, general store, baked goods place in Canada, and they were just...
They like to think they are.
just everywhere, and that was all you could get.
Tim Hortons isn't our only national coffee chain.
Okay.
Sure, when you're in the mood for a quick double-double or a box of Timbits, Timmy's is a great place.
Timbits? Double-double? What are these things? Timbits. Timbits.
You would call them donut holes in the States. And a double-double is 2 sugar and 2 cream.
Oh, it's a food. Tim Hortons. Bite-sized morsels of our traditional donuts. Sounds good. Timbits. Who knew?
To stop. Sure. When you're in the mood for a quick double-double or a...
Double-double. Double-double. What is this? Double. Double. Double-double. Toil and trouble. Okay.
Oh, he's an educated man.
A coffee? It's a coffee. Okay. Cool. Seems cool. I'm up to speed. I can go to a Tim Hortons now and kind of make my way through. I'd get coffee and donuts.
For a box of Timbits, Timmy's is a great place to stop.
Timmy's.
It's just donuts, okay? They're like 2 for a loony.
But it's not Canada's only coffee chain, or even its best.
Okay.
Second Cup is another of Canada's national coffee chains, and some would argue it's much better, albeit typically more expensive.
It seems like Tim Hortons? Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
Yeah,
Tim Hortons. Okay, I do know. Tim Hortons sounds like it's more of a general foods, baked goods and a coffee, kind of quick on the go. And this Second Cup?
It'd be like Dunkin' Donuts in the States.
Is kind of more coffee specialty, which would make sense if it's more expensive. It's kind of more if you want this fancy coffee. I get it.
Is that your second cup of coffee?
Third. Why?
You could also try Montreal-based Van Hoot, which has cafes across the province of Quebec.
Van Hoot.
While competitive pricing, amazing marketing campaigns, and its place in pop culture has...
I believe A&W chains in Canada carry Van Hoot now.
made Tim Hortons the reigning champ. You
Yeah.
still got options. Plus,
Okay.
we even have Starbucks.
Starbucks. I don't go there personally, but that's probably where almost every American who visits Canada ends up going, out of fear, because they don't know what this Tim Hortons thing is. They're like, what is it? What do they sell there? It sounds like a hardware store.
Coffee is excellent.
Number 5, we have 2 official languages.
Okay, it must be English and French. It must be.
My friend in Canada who got married way too young, they had to do their vows twice, once in French.
They speak French there too? God, that place is a mess.
The history of Canada is shaped by both the English and the French, with
Right.
the two both laying claim to parts of the land until the 7 Years' War, at the end of which France ceded its colony to the English. Thanks to the policies of official bilingualism enacted in the 20th century, both languages are protected and represented today.
That's cool. I don't think a lot of Canadians are actually taught to be fluent in French, to my understanding.
That is incorrect. Many Canadians do take French. French is taught up to a certain grade, and then you can do French immersion. If I cannot carry on a conversation very well in French, I can actually read French better than I can speak it. If I remember correctly, Chinese is the 3rd most popular language in Canada.
There are French-speaking parts of Canada,
yes,
from what I know. But it would be so cool if I lived in a place that was bilingual and I was taught 2 languages. I've always been so jealous that a lot of places in the rest of the world tend to teach English as a second language, so they can, people in Spain and France and Germany and everywhere over the world, they can communicate with Americans who travel there, but the Americans can't communicate with them because we're not taught a second language. So that's too bad, honestly. It's too bad.
It's Canada. Just say the word. And then say it again in French.
These policies ensure that citizens can be served by the federal government in both languages, and politicians seeking to lead the country typically learn both French and English.
Leadership is about bringing people of all different perspectives together. Je veux aussi rendre hommage à Thomas Mulcair.
While most of the francophone population lives in Quebec, there are many French-speaking communities across Canada, including a large one in New Brunswick.
Au Québec, on travaille en français. Fine. That leaves the rest of Canada under my jurisdiction, with the possible exception of some areas of New Brunswick.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have too much of an equivalent here in America. There are a lot of Spanish speakers in America. I would definitely call that the second language of America, Spanish. That'd probably be the most useful thing for me to learn. So I think that's kind of similar with French in Canada.
4. Canada is pretty progressive.
Okay.
Compared to our neighbors, it often seems like Canada is lauded for being a progressive paradise.
When I think about Canada, I actually think of progressive.
While it has its own share of social problems and debates, it is true that most of the fights on social issues that take such precedence in the American media have been solved in Canada.
Yeah, America is still very much at war with itself. Not literally, but verbally and politically and with different ideals. Yeah, we are definitely nowhere close to solving a lot of probably stuff we should have solved by now. Although, I won't get too far into that, but I do admire Canada that seems to have gotten a grip and come to terms with a nice progressive outlook on lots of things and is moving things forward. I respect that.
This is due in large part to stark differences between Canadian and American culture.
Yeah, that is important to note, that there is a totally different culture.
Access to abortion is almost a non-issue. Gay marriage has been legal since 2005, and even the Conservative Party doesn't oppose it.
You know, the strongest evidence for genuinely demonstrating a domestic partnership is to take a quick drive on up to Canada and legitimize your relationship.
Legitimize?
Get married.
There are still many problems in Canada, and it's by no means a progressive utopia. But the country should be proud of all the progress it's already made.
Yeah, it should be proud. That's actually very nice.
We should move to Canada.
Number 3. Not all police officers are Mounties.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Why?
Americans, when they picture Canadian police, we do think of Mounties. We know of Mounties, just by that word too, Mounties. I think that's short for something. But we think of these individuals in red, riding horses with the big hats. Yeah, we absolutely think of that when we think of Canada, honestly. So I didn't actually know how that worked, if that was the Canadian police force.
It's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Back in the day, they rode horses. And the Mounties are the federally funded police force. And then larger communities such as Vancouver, they believe even Edmonton have their own city police force. So yes, these two people here are on a horseback, and so they are Mounties. They do not always wear that red uniform. Those are for special occasions.
Every police in Canada was Mounties, or if they're a special unit, or what?
Those officers dressed in red suits and great big hats are members of the RCMP, or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Your cops are called Mounties.
While
okay. They're like a special department, unit, whatever you want to call it. And they're called Mounties because they're mounted on horses. It makes so much sense. And yeah, okay, I totally believe it. There's probably just normal police, right?
While Canada does indeed use Mounties on the federal level, cities and municipalities use regular police officers, as they do in most countries.
Okay.
Mounties enforce federal laws and will work closely with the provinces and municipalities in order to accomplish their goals.
Okay, I didn't realize Mounties were actually a federal level sort of policing force.
Yes,
I never realized it kind of worked like that. I really did think that Mounties existed keeping the peace, keeping law, you know, throughout Canada on horseback. I mean, I wish it was that way. That'd be kind of cool, you know? No, I get it.
And their tasks include dealing with organized crime, drug trafficking, and border control, among many other federal offenses.
Okay.
So, yes, Canada does have Mounties, but no, they don't go around solving crimes on horseback. And the country does rely heavily on municipal police forces as well.
So the Mounties are just this team of badasses that you call in whenever you need like a special federal force to come enforce things. Okay, man, that's how.
No, they're your everyday cops who just happen to have just happen to have jurisdiction across Canada. You could be wanted for a crime in Vancouver, and a Mountie in Toronto could arrest you and return you to Vancouver.
That's how I would package it, how I would boil it down to an American. That's what I'm just going to tell them. Oh, they're this special, you know, killer policing force that lives in the shadows on horseback. That's all I got from this video.
Also, Mounties don't always dress like that either.
Patrick Harris.
Our home and native.
Why is he crying?
Number 2, healthcare isn't free. It's paid for by taxes.
Exactly.
Okay. This is, oh my gosh. This is just a huge point of contention in America. That healthcare, it's not free.
No.
Nor is it really paid from taxes. It's not free and it's not paid for by taxes, really. So Canada has a huge leg up on America with this one.
Okay.
And it really annoys a lot of Americans. I'd say the vast majority of Americans, because you have to purchase healthcare plans, insurance, and sometimes you go and get emergency healthcare administered, and your insurance only covers so much of it, and then the hospital can charge you sometimes outrageously life-crippling amounts of debt. So what's the point of having taxes and a government if that can happen to you, is what I would pose as a question. But
the #1 cause of bankruptcies in the United States is medical bills. It's unfortunate. They have the population to make Canada's healthcare system work there, but they all want to make money. That's what it is. Money, money, money.
But yeah, I'd be perfectly happy to pay taxes and just have the taxes go towards our healthcare, like Canada does. That would be fantastic. I'm jealous. I'm a bit jealous.
No, it says don't walk.
Doesn't matter. They have free healthcare.
Yeah, Americans do have a way of phrasing it like that when talking about other countries. They do tend to say like, oh, their healthcare is free. It's free. No, we can't do that here in America because how would it just be free? It make no sense. No, it's paid for by taxes. It makes sense.
I'm rich!
Often when talking about the great things in Canada, free healthcare is brought up. But that term is a bit of a mischaracterization.
Yeah.
Healthcare in Canada isn't somehow free. That'd make no sense. It's just paid for by taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Because access to universal healthcare services is considered a right in Canada.
Canada?
Yeah.
What?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I could go on and on about this one. My God. I have no idea why the American system is the way it is. I do have an idea. It's because people want to make money. They want to make money.
Exactly.
Healthcare companies, pharmaceutical companies want to make money in America, and they charge us for it. Whereas in Canada, healthcare is a right, which it probably should be. That would be fantastic. And a great use of having government. Yeah, it's too bad.
Is everyone going to have access to universal health care so no one has to choose between going bankrupt and treating a life-threatening illness?
While some arguments persist about the best way to design and maintain a program of universal health care, and there are still complaints that Canada's system lags behind those in European countries, the large majority of Canadians agree that it's been incredibly beneficial, and that healthcare is a great use of tax money.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Like she said, lagging behind some European countries. You know, there are some disadvantages to it right now, but I can't think of any other place I'd rather be sick and in the hospital than in Canada. You know, it may not be the best system, but it's better than what our neighbors to the south have to go through.
Canadians, can you just come talk to our government people? Can you just talk some sense into them? I don't know why. You know, part of it is Americans are almost conditioned to think as a culture we don't think about it. We're just like, oh, this is the way it is. It's just the way it always is. And I'm guilty of that. But then I watch a video about...
I believe under President Obama, they did bring some Canadians in to discuss the benefits of the Canadian healthcare system.
Things Canadians want me to know. And they bring up that the healthcare is part of the taxation system and paid for. And it just jogs my brain. And I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, oh, wait, that sounds really good.
It's a healthcare.
Before we unveil our #1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Okay. Real maple syrup. I hate that Faco kind.
What's the bad about being Canadian?
Your milk comes in bags.
So yeah, apparently ketchup is so hot in Canada that they just threw the artificial flavoring all over the...
Ketchup flavored chips?
They're the best. Grew up on them. Old Dutch potato chips, ketchup flavored. They're pretty darn good. Actually, all dressed is pretty good too. Ruffles all dressed, yeah. And milk in bags, I believe, is an Ontario thing. I've never seen it on the West Coast here.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's yummy.
Why?
It's yummy.
I do like ketchup. I would try them. I'm acting like I'm ashamed of Canada, and I would try it. I would try it.
Post a P.O. box. I'll send you some.
But a lot of Americans would be very disgusted by this. I'm borderline disgusted. I'm conflicted, but ketchup, it's not something we have on chips.
Yeah, chips here.
Why not? You put it on French fries. It's potato. Chips are potatoes.
#1. Not everyone has that stereotypical accent.
Yes, the Canadian accent. I don't notice it much. I watch Degrassi sometimes when I was younger.
Yay.
And that's in Canada. And the only thing I ever noticed was the word about.
No, they do not. Do not. Oh, I'm triggered now. I'm so triggered. That is not an actual saying. I have never heard anyone in Canada say boot. It's always about.
And sorry. Sorry.
Sorry.
Those were the only 2 words.
Sorry. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
Words that I ever noticed that there was a different inflection, a different emphasis on the pronunciation. So the Canadian as a whole accent, I don't think really exists much. Especially not how Americans think of it.
There's not going to be any fight without Scott Riles and the incredibly polite Canadian news team.
Sorry about that, eh? Well, the accent does exist. It's...
Yeah, the word A, saying A after everything. Canadians do not do that. I mean, unless I'm totally wrong. Canadians don't say A every other sentence.
It depends what you're saying and who you're saying it to, eh?
That's a huge thing. Americans do totally think that.
More common in rural areas. And even then, people in the Maritimes and Newfoundland have their own distinct accent.
They sometimes have a funny way of saying things like a boot.
And the way they say about.
No.
Sounds like, what's that? A boot?
Fuck off.
A boot, yes, exactly.
The majority of Canadians you meet, who will likely be from the big cities, don't talk with that accent. In fact, they sound very similar to Americans from big cities.
Yeah. What a weird thing for Canadian melodrama.
What a weird thing for girls who say a boot.
We will concede that Canadians do say the word a lot, but it's often misused by those mocking Canada.
I moved here from Canada and they think I'm slow, eh?
A is a...
Wait, do Canadians say A? I was just saying this wasn't real. I don't have any Canadian friends. I don't interact with Canadians on a day-to-day basis, so I wouldn't know for sure if they use a lot. I just figured, based on what I've seen, it was kind of an exaggeration.
It's another way of saying right or, you know, at the end of a sentence. Not a random word we just interject in the middle of conversations.
Okay.
Bet you learned something new today, eh?
Come on, what do we look like? Rookies? Sorry.
Do you agree with our picks?
Okay. Yeah, that was very interesting. And very good list by Watch Mojo. I like them, and I liked this video. Very good. That was a good video, and it had several things in there that I actually was not aware of. Some of the things on this list were kind of classic American stereotypes of Canada being cold, saying A all the time.
We do A.
You know, other sorts of things. But some of these I had never really heard before. But it seems like, I don't know, at the end of the day, I still do think Canada and America are much more similar than a lot of people think. It's almost like how you can find differences between Americans state to state, region to region. Same with Canada. You can find differences in different regions of Canada. And it's almost like the differences between regions is almost, it's a little more amplified than that, but that's the difference between America and Canada. It's just like we're two different regions, a little, you know, we're two different nations, so it's a little with a different history, so it's a little more different than that, but we have a lot of similarities, and to be honest, a couple of funny differences. And I would honestly love to see, like, American stereotypes. What Canadians think of Americans, and
that's not a good idea.
What we do, and stuff like that. That'd be so funny to me. Oh my gosh. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada, Canadian culture, Canadian things that I've never seen, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.